Now? Yes, it's recording now. Welcome to a Born to Flow class. I think that would be better just to call it a class. Lots of people call it masterclass. But are we all masters? I wonder if we're all masters. I think we are all masters. But we all feel jack of all trades. I'm just going to ask for just a round of introductions. I feel like we all do know each other. I don't think Zahira and Angela have met, but Zahira met Natalia last week. And just one fact about yourself that you want everybody to know, and another fact that is probably your guilty pleasure. Let's just make it like that. I'll go first. So one fact everybody knows about me is that I'm a paceologist, a transformational coach. Paceologist means somebody that helps you understand the pace of your life and how that affects every area of your life. When you slow down, it speeds up other areas. And the other thing everybody else knows is I'm a social worker for 30 years. I've got 3 sons. I've run my business since 2018. A guilty pleasure of mine is I love going on dates by myself. So this is a very long date in Bath and spending a lot of time by myself, having meals by myself, touring a new city by myself. That used to be a guilty pleasure. It's no longer a guilty pleasure. I used to have this guilty pleasure where I used to book Taniya days when I was a young mum, and I kind of just wanted a day out myself, so I didn't tell any of my family. Booked a day off on leave at work and used to kind of go somewhere in London, Hampstead. I live in South London, so North London is a bit of a trek, and just spend the day and then come back, and none of my family was none the wiser where I'd been. And it was like, I used to call it a Tanya day. So that's my guilty pleasure, but enough about me. Who would like to go next?
Yeah, I don't mind going next. Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Zahira, and a fact about me: I work full time as a project manager in a university in London. I also have my side hustle. My main side hustle is I support companies with applications for research and development grants. They're usually for startup companies. I also have another side hustle, which I've just started off, which is a YouTube channel, basically around trying to support people to navigate life and with a focus on living a sort of sacred, abundant type of life. I'm also finishing off a PhD at the University of Birmingham, and I care for my mum. One of my guilty pleasures, I don't really actually see it as a guilty pleasure, but I do love having a massage, a full body massage, and I tend to have one every month. It's usually a few hours that I can get away with from sort of work and from my life, and then just enjoy being pampered a little, I guess. Maybe add a facial into that as well, maybe sometimes. But I don't really see it as a guilty pleasure. I enjoy it and I don't feel guilty about it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Natalia, go next if you're ready, please.
I think the question was who wants to go next? Natalia doesn't.
Angela, you spoke first.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be very quick. Yes, my name is Angela. I'm 64 years old. I live in South London. I think I live about a mile or two from Tanya, and I'm a published author. I've finally self-published my book. So in a way, that's my publishing business is my side hustle. And I've and my guilty pleasure will be dancing to hip hop. But I can't break dance, but dancing to hip hop. Yes.
And why it's guilty?
I don't know, just it's just so I don't know, it just feels, I don't know, I don't really have much guilt in my life, but I think it's more about, oh, it takes time and it's, yeah.
Interesting. Thank you, Angela.
My pleasure.
Okay, so I am Natalia. I am marketing fuck, and I have chairs that's still a little bit now broken. I am a marketing strategist. I work in marketing for 25 whatever plus years. And I actually usually like I studied with food, so my guilty pleasure is also connected to the food because I like to mess up with different spices, and my cabinet is usually full of spices that I sometimes buy and never use. So that is like I like to mess up with different ingredients, and I'm enjoying it. But sometimes some other people in my family feel like they are guinea pigs of all my experiments. So they are not sorry about it. Like I like to mix things. I like to not following the recipe and trying to do it on my own. And it's something like that. Enough?
Thank you. So it's really interesting. When I use the word guilty pleasure, people didn't want to focus on the guilt. And I feel like it might be very pleasurable now and you've ditched the guilt. Sounds like some of you have ditched the guilt and some of you, it still
Oh,
is.
the guilt is usually, for example, when you are spending money on yourself, right? So when you like, sometimes you cannot, for example, justify like, why did you like? I can look then. I come from the market, right? And then I look and like, why did I buy 15 new packs of different spices? I don't know, but it was so fun and so enjoyable.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that guilt thing is a woman thing. I mean, do men feel guilty? I'm sure they do. But guilty pleasure is something for those of us. So Angela and I know each other from B school. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Marie Forleo, Zahira. Zahira, are you familiar with Marie Forleo? She's kind of she's kind of a very well known small business mentor. Founded B school, I think about 20 years ago, more than that. And so Angela and I bought her course, which is B School, and she has this section when it comes to like figuring out who your ideal client is. See, she asks this question: find out what their pleasure is, and find out what their dreams are. And guilty pleasures are kind of also, I feel, linked to dreams. So this is kind of what you dream your life to be, but you kind of have a taste of it, right? The guilty pleasure before you can actually make it a reality. So going on dates by myself is something I used to do. I'm 56 now, and I used to do it when I was 18, when I was a student in Coventry studying social work. And at that time, even in London, and when I went to Paris, 19, 20, 20, I was 20, women didn't, in the West I'm talking about, women in London women in Coventry, women in Paris didn't like sit at a cafe or a restaurant by themselves. It just wasn't the done thing, right? It's now very common and it's kind of okay and it's like acceptable. But back then it wasn't, and I was one of the few people that used to do it. I can't remember seeing that when even in train stations. I can't remember seeing a woman alone just sitting there feeling comfortable. And I used to get lots of looks. And especially I remember kind of feeling more. What's the word? I felt it more in Paris because it was like, who does she think this? And I got those kind of looks more from the French women than I did from the French men. And I remember sitting there at a roadside cafe, having a croissant and a cappuccino in Paris and I used to love croissants there because they weren't that common in London. And just savoring, enjoying the moment, enjoying the vibe of Paris. It was a lot cleaner city back then, and kind of just seeing the hustle and bustle go by, and like not really caring about the looks that I got because I felt like that's their problem. And spending time by myself is something I really value and I really get a lot of joy from. And now 40 how many years later, I do it much more often, but it was a guilty pleasure. And now living my life in this way, where I'm able to spend it, is like I'm now living the dream. And I'm like, that sounds a bit tacky and corny, but I want to go away from me and I want to ask this question: what shifted so it just became pleasurable? What shifted so you didn't feel the guilt of the spices, the dancing, the going on the dates, having the massage? What was the moment that the guilt got ditched? And I just want you to close your eyes, and I'm going to do it as myself. And let's just go back to the past. And I'm sure, and I know, our brains have actually recorded it when it actually stopped being a guilty pleasure. And I want you to tune into how you felt in your body when you ditched that guilt. How did your mind feel? How did your shoulders feel? How did your neck feel? How did your heart feel? How did your lungs feel? How did your stomach feel? How did your legs feel? And just connect to that feeling. Because pleasure has its own joy. It has its own frequency. It has its own vibration. When you ditch the guilt, you actually ditch it, drop it, let it go. You shift into that new frequency, that new vibration. So that guilty pleasure then becomes this habit that you're doing every day, every week, every month, even every year. The fact that you're doing it regularly, it then becomes a part of you. It then becomes something that holds you. That appointment with yourself that keeps you going, that fuel that keeps you going. Apologies for the background noise. So, I don't expect everybody to share everything with that connection to that time. And that will be okay. I'm willing to share. I feel like I know when it stopped being a guilty pleasure for me.
I do too. It came instantly.
Angela.
I'd be very brief.
Yeah, love if you could share.
Yeah, no, guilty pleasure, you know, I was saying about dancing and some years back, I was doing a project where I was pulling together some photos from my early childhood. And I asked my mother, a particular photo was taken of me as a 3-year-old, you know, wearing a lovely dress. And she said to me, "You just started walking, but you were dancing before you were." Yes, in the photo, I was dancing. And I was like, I don't think I was even 2 or something. She said, "You were dancing before you could walk." And something happened inside me. It was as though, oh, right, okay. This is a natural expression for me. So that the guilt just disappeared. It was like, okay, fine. Yeah. But the look on her face, I mean, she's dead now, but the look on her face was just like, yeah, you were dancing before you could walk. It was like, wow, no idea.
Beautiful. I love that. Anybody else wants to share anything? And again, you don't have to, because I feel whatever you connected to is really for yourself. But if you feel like sharing, I'll give you about a few seconds to share.
I'm happy to share. But it's interesting because when I was at university, I used to get very stressed on my course. There was a lot of coursework, there was a lot of work. It was all new to me. I was the first person in my family to go to university, so there was nobody to support me on that front from family side. And I used to use something called Indian head massages to release that stress and that tension. So I used to have those quite regularly. And from that, so those university years, that the sort of I moved from the Indian head massages to like a full body massage. It became sort of an extension of that to manage stress, to manage sort of tension, any sort of emotional issues that were going on in my life. It was a way of sort of releasing that tension in the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm reflecting back, did I ever feel I don't think I ever felt guilty about doing that. But yeah, and which is interesting. I don't think I ever did feel guilty. I might have felt a little bit of a, oh God, there's going to be a pinch on my student grant at the time. I used to do grants. But I never necessarily felt guilty about it.
So it's going back to kind of what Natalia said, is about the fact that the guilt is something to do with money rather than the actual feeling of guilt
Yeah.
as you're cooking it, doing it, feeling the physical effects of the massage or dancing, right? you feel guilty about the money. Sorry, Natalia.
Yeah, no, for me, it's like I was just thinking that often the guilt is when you need to, I don't know, to explain your choice to somebody else, right? For example, to, and for example, you like something and all the other people don't understand it, right? Like me with music, right? My parents are never understand why I want to go to the concert. They're saying like, you are never that such a fan of music. Why would you do it? Why would you spend all your weekends? Why would and when I'm just saying that it makes me feel alive, it makes and brings the unconditional smile on my face. You know, like when you're not trying to make a smile, but it just like it's all over, like your whole face is smiling, like your eyes are relaxed, like you are just excited internally. And that's when it becomes like not a guilty pleasure, because it's like I'm doing it because I just want to feel like that. And I like, if it makes me feel like I want to feel, I don't need to justify it with like that you need to understand it. Something like that. Not sure if somebody understood what I meant, but
Yeah, it's just interesting how the word guilty evokes so many things. It's like justifying it to someone else, justifying it to yourself, justifying it to your accountant if you're a business owner, justifying it to your parents, justifying it to your partner, justifying it to your team. Yeah, very interesting. Does anyone else want to share before I move on?
no, it's like, you know, for example, it's maybe even like not even about the money. Like you don't have time for that. You need to do that. And instead, like, but I want.
So there's the money aspect, and then there's
No,
the
any resource, right? Time, money, attention to something else that you were supposed to do. So it's kind of like we have different resources, right? And when the guilt that you are spending like it on the different things that you were supposed to do. You should do something, right? But you want to do different.
And that pleasure, let's abandon that word guilt. That pleasure makes us alive. That's what keeps us going. It makes the black and white life that we have injected with color. So remember all those black and white films? I'm sure everyone has watched a black and white film. And remember, I'm sure, hopefully everybody's watched Gone with the Wind. Remember that it kind of, it's not Gone with the Wind. Wizard of Oz. It starts off as a black and white film, and then afterwards it becomes, in Technicolor. And that activity, that event, that appointment injects your life with color. And resources, what we feel like resources are limited, because time is limited. We've only got 24 hours, 7 days a week. Money, more or less, however you see money, is limited. Your physical energy is limited. Your mental energy is limited. Your psychological energy, your spiritual energy is limited, because we're human beings. We are within our limits. But when we are dancing, listening to music, singing, having a massage, right? Walking around in a beautiful city like Bath, writing poetry, that makes us feel limitless. So I feel like my next question is, and again, I'd like everybody, including myself, to close our eyes. What needs to shift, or what allows us to give ourselves permission to feel alive? To do what we need to do to feel alive. When do we give ourselves permission? What needs to happen for that permission to be given? And obviously, it's ourselves that's giving that permission, because we're adults. We don't need permission from another adult because we're not children anymore. So I'm going to be silent for a minute. Then I would like us to reconnect. I'm not sure if it was a minute, but I would like to reconvene. And I want you to just either just say it in a few words, 2 or 3 words, or just say it in a sentence. What came up for you doing that exercise?
It's Angela here. For me, the word heartbreak came up. It's as though being heartbroken finally gave me permission to actually take care of those important elements of what my heart really wants.
Mm-hmm. I feel... Sorry, carry on.
No, that's it. That's what I need to say, I think. I
Thank
can't give
you.
specifics. I can't give specifics.
No. And I think heartbroken is that's very powerful. And thank you for that. Thank you.
Pleasure. Yeah.
I think for me, it's about the words that come to mind is giving myself the whole the massage. I think it's a way of me coming back to the present moment, because I'm always either living in the future. I used to live in the past, and now I very much live in the future. And to give myself the permission to be present in the present moment.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Natalia, you don't have to say anything, but I'm just going to give you a few seconds.
Just like the question was, what gives you? So because I didn't really fully.
What what needs to happen for you to give yourself permission to go and feel alive? What needs to happen? It might happen in your brain, it might happen in your body, it might happen with somebody else. Like, you know, Angela had to be heartbroken for her to give herself
No, it's
permission.
like there are many, right? So
Mhm.
can be
It might not be
heartbroken. You
one
can
thing.
you can be I don't know, just watching at your old photos and understand that you miss that person, that happy that happy smile, for example, right? When you look at the moment and understand, now you look different, and I want to have again this feeling. So, for example, yeah, that was
Mhm.
for sure
Mhm. Mhm.
a short
Old,
snapshot of the past.
yeah, old photos. For me, what helps me give myself permission to feel alive again, and I usually do that by dancing or going on a walk or listening to music or um, just doing something for myself, is when I'm very bored. Like I'm bored of the same old, whatever I'm doing. And I've been on the screen for a long time. Or it's when my body feels like stiff or tired or in pain. So it's either the mental aspect of like boredom, or it's the physical aspect of, you know, like I can feel this pain in my back, or I'm feeling stiff, or and yeah, that's what gives me permission to go and like be off the phone, go for a walk, stop working on whatever I'm working on, and just, you know, go and be alive, go and, you know, do something for me, or do something that helps me feel alive again, put that color into my life again. And this thing about permission is very much, and I'm going to be sort of exploring a lot of this in my upcoming workshop in London on 15th of November. But this thing about permission is very much related to how we felt as children, because all of us were children at one point, and we always in school, I'm sure, had to ask the teacher to go to the toilet in the middle of the class, or we had to ask our parent, you know, can I do this, mum? Can I do this, dad? Right? And so we're trained from a very young age to ask permission. And sometimes as children, we obviously need that, but we still maintain it even in our adulthood, right? And this is a shift that I feel, and I'm sure all of us, because we're all like entrepreneurs, right? Kind of really struggle with, especially if we've worked in corporate, or we've been an employee, because a lot of the time to do, you know, to do anything, we used to have, you know, you have to ask your manager or the director or your line manager or whoever, right, to go and do this, right? But when you run your own business, you're your boss. And that shift, that transition, that mindset shift, if you want to call it that, so I think it's a little bit more, is really, really hard, right? And some are better at it than others. And some entrepreneurs, even when they've been like just running their own business and not, you know, having a job at the same time, I speak to them all the time, and they've run their business for 10, 15 years, and they're still struggling, right? They still say to me, yeah, I still struggle with that. And I'm like, really? Seriously? But you've been running your business for 10, 15 years, unlike me. And they go, no, 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 I still struggle with that. And I was like, oh my God. And then it makes you think, is that just their lifestyle? Or is that something within our consciousness, like human consciousness? Because this is what we all are. We all went to school, even if we're homeschooled, yet you still have to like ask permission. So connecting to being the adult, having agency is still hard, even for the ones that are as successful as we all are in this Zoom room. And now I'm going to leave another question. So does it always have to be that boredom, that physical pain, that heartbreak, having to watch old photos that makes us shift? Why can't we just stop asking for permission? Why can't we just do it anyway? What, this is the other question. What stops us? What is stopping us? And let's just close our eyes again. And I just want you to tune in to the first thought that came into your mind when I asked that question. I want you to go into the feelings now. What was the first thought that came into your mind? And you don't have to share it if you don't want to. What's the first thought that came into your mind that stops you from feeling alive, doing something that makes you feel alive again?
It's Angela again. I had the word fear came up, and ostracize. Fear of being ostracized. It was like a primal thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Like
I'm not sure why. It's not like I worry about that, but I just suddenly thought, oh no, it's not safe to have everyone looking at you and you feel, turning, in a sense, turning against you or standing out somehow. So it's very strange. Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I'm dying to share mine, but I'm going to share mine last.
No, okay. All right. No, thank you.
Anyone willing to share their first thought that came up when I asked that question?
Well, I would say that for me it's usually just awareness to feel, so to be more conscious actually. So you don't need to every time to look at the photos. You need to catch yourself at the moment when you stop doing it. If it's not already the habit, for example, of I don't know, some self-care, then right? And it's just when you feel that, I don't know, in work you're doing something too much and you actually need to understand like, now it's a good time to make a break, because during the work actually usually everything is just coming more clear, and like, so just awareness to catch you in the moment. That's it. And do the opposite.
Just out of curiosity, for those of us that are like working on our businesses by ourselves, we're like solopreneurs, right? Who is that? Because you yourself, my question is, do you yourself have to have that awareness? Because like when I'm in my social work team, one of my colleagues will come up to me and say, oh, by the way, that report, like just wasn't good enough. Sorry, can you kind of correct it? And then I have to go and correct it. So the awareness comes from another team member. For you as a solopreneur, does it have to come from yourself, or would, I don't know, somebody that's like, look, not in your business, but they're kind of maybe living with you saying, oh, by the way, can you just kind of give it a rest and whatever? And kind of, how does it work for you, Natalia?
I don't know. I have usually the normal instinct. I need to go for a walk. I need the fresh air. I need
So you're kind of very in tuned to, your body.
When I feel that you are circling, right? That you are trying to push too hard, where it's like usually that it's like when it's so like when it's not something new, but you are doing some stuff that sometimes you just need to go away from it and then come back.
Yeah. That makes sense. You just need to go away from whatever you're doing. Yeah. Thank you. Zahira, do you want to share? And by the way, you don't have to.
I have no problems with sharing, but mine was very similar to Angela's. It was fear that came up. Not necessarily being ostracized, but definitely fear.
Okay. So fear is interesting. What came up for me, the first thought that came up when I asked myself and all of you, that question was, I should be doing this. It was a should. I should be doing this. And I feel like for me, because a lot of us, even if we're not online entrepreneurs, we're doing a lot of things online, right? So even if we're employees, even if we're just mums at home, you know, because with the technological age that we're living in, it's like, you know, you're being on your smartphones or your laptops, everything is moving, you know, online, right? And it's like, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. So it's that was the first thought that came. And this I should be, right, is something that I know most high achieving women, that's what's made them so successful, right? That drive, being in what psychologists call drive mode. So there's 3 modes. There's drive mode, soothe mode, and threat mode. So lots of people, when they're feeling in the threat mode, and that comes from the primal bit of your brain that you feel like under threat, that's when your adrenaline, you know, the amygdala kind of injects adrenaline, and then you kind of do whatever you need to do to kind of get yourself onto soothe mode. But most high achieving women and men, they're mostly either in threat mode or drive mode. They find it very difficult to go into soothe mode, right? And this is kind of bared from psychological research. And one of the reasons sometimes is most high achieving women and men is become normal to be in threat mode or drive mode, because that's just been their life. And that might not be to do with severe childhood trauma. It might be just to do with one traumatic event, right? That felt very traumatic, kind of, and there's kind of various research to do with that. And this I should is what's pushed them to work so hard, and that's what's made them achieve that success. But what happens is that success is only up to a certain point. So what happens with a lot of, and I've worked with 6, 7, 8 figure entrepreneurs who are earning that amount of money, it kind of, what's the right word? They can't go beyond, like, once they've made 5 figures, they find it very difficult to make 6 figures. Or once they've made 6 figures, they can't go on to 7 figures. Or if they've made 7 figures, they can't make on to 8, or they can't make on to 8, go to 9 figures, whatever, right? Is because of the fact that they don't know how to be in soothe mode. Because there comes a time that you don't need to work harder, you just need to work smarter. You just need to be in soothe mode, and that's when they are able to unlock the next level of success. And it feels so counterintuitive. For those like Natalia, who's kind of more clued up into your body, it becomes much more easier. But unfortunately, for most of us, going back to the technological bit, most of us are kind of just with the nature of phones and technology and everything, we're not constantly online, but we're having to be, even when we kind of make a conscious effort of having a day or a weekend away offline, we're feeling like, oh no, like we wanted to watch a film and you got to go back onto your phone just to tune into Netflix, because the phone in the hotel now isn't one of those free view things that you can just, click. Luckily in my hotel there was free view, so I didn't have to go onto Netflix. But like, that's a side thing, right? Am I making any sense, or am I rambling? Hi, Zahira, I can see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So, in terms of being in sort of soothe mode, is that the same or has similarities with being in the present moment?
Yes. Yeah. So soothe is anything, like the word soothe. It's like anything that you do that soothes you. So having a cup of tea. When you are eating, you eat slowly, right? So you digest your food. When you're drinking, you sip it slowly. When you're breathing, you breathe in more deeply. Having a massage can soothe you.
Is that
I
so?
mean,
It's the actions that are leading towards being in the present moment.
yes, yes. And being in the present, for those like you like to be in the future, right? Kind of, you're worried about the future, or you're manifesting because you've been able to do that, in the past, and you've manifested your current reality. It's so hard because you're kind of in the future, but you have to come back, like you said. Not you have to, it helps. Sorry, I don't like the word have to. Similar to should. It helps to be present, because only when you are present can you enjoy your life. Present in the here and now. 10th of October 2025, Friday. Different time zones for some of us, but we're Friday, the 10th of October 2025. Let's just enjoy this moment. And so I'm glad that you've asked that question, because I feel like, and this is free. This doesn't cost anything, right? We just take 1 minute, right? And I teach this for free, right? 1 minute. And I know most of us probably do it at some point, right? But we kind of don't do it every day, maybe, right? And I'm not going to lie, there are some days that I don't do it, but I try to do it every day. Just we just close our eyes and we just breathe in and out, and we don't even have to count how many times we've held it. We just focus on our breathing. The more we kind of say we got to do it like this or we got to do it like that, the more we're not going to do it, there's going to be resistance. We just focus on our breath going in and out. Don't have to time it. Don't have to recite anything. If we want to recite something, we can. If we want to chant something, we can. But we close our eyes and we just connect to our breath. And we just do it for a minute every single day. The effects of that is like, and this is what I find, and these are very successful, high achieving women. They just don't do that. They don't know how to do that. They've tried all these different meditation techniques. They've bought courses, and they come to me and they say, I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, and then slowly, they build that practice, and they're able to do it because they're kind of trying to do it perfectly. And because they've tried the yoga and they've tried this and they've tried that. And I'm saying, you don't have to do it in a certain prescribed way. Just do it very simply. And I kind of simplify the technique. And they come back and they go, oh my God, right, I'm doing this now. And I kind of doing this. And it just gives them so much clarity. And I always get really shocked because these are very successful, intelligent, much more successful than I am, women. And I feel like going back to giving you that connection to the technological bit is because this, it was a conversation I was having with Angela. It's because of the vibes or the energy that your phone gives off, right? I think maybe the laptop also may be giving it off, but I feel like because we're obviously more like on our phones than our laptops, every single time that I sleep with my phone, I cannot sleep. So usually when I have my phone away from me, like even if it's on the bedside table, I'm able to sleep with it better. So I might be watching a film late at night and I can't be bothered to put it on my side table, right? I find that I'm waking up because I'm absorbing all the energies that are coming from the phone. And here I'm not talking radio waves, it probably is radio waves, whatever you want to call them. It's also the energies of the people that are online, of the human beings that are online, because I am sure all of us that are in this room are empaths and are sensitive and are more sensitive. Yeah, that's a very good idea. Angela's just I put my mobile devices on airplane mode. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should as well. But this is something I remember like 6-7 months ago. I started having my mobile phone downstairs. I've got back into a very bad habit now of having it on my side table in my bedroom, but I started having my phone downstairs and, like having my own body clock wake me up, not having an alarm clock. And I found that I was waking up at 5-6 a.m. every single day, and that kind of worked for me. And again, scientists have noticed studies when it comes to your mobile phone and quality of sleep, and because it wakes you up, if you kind of like switch it on, and the light and everything will wake you up, and then that's a signal to the brain that you're awake. I'm conscious that there's like 4 minutes left, and now I just wanted to kind of clear the room and kind of give space for questions.
Just a very quick one. I just wondered, Tanya, with all this we're talking about permission to give ourselves, to be care for ourselves, I wonder whether this is all cultural, especially as we're women, whether, we're always under scrutiny. Any mishaps we make is another excuse to keep us, demoted or demotivated, especially if you're in a very aggressive working environment. I just wonder what your thoughts are about that.
I feel like that's a lot of it. Like cultural conditioning isn't just from parents and schools, it's also from work environments, learning environments, political environments, economic environments. It's kind of all kind of conditioning, isn't it? I think you've raised a very valid point. Yes.
Yeah, no, it was just a thought that in a way we have to sort of transcend those cultures and not, like, I felt shamed for being highly emotional, and you helped me realize that my authority is emotional. I should listen to my emotions rather than my mind, as in my rational mind. So yeah, so I've had to shame myself and go, this is my superpower is my intuitive feelings. Yes. So thank you.
Yeah, when you I do human design readings, and in human design, when you know what your authority is, it really opens up. It really kind of connects you to your superpower. So my authority is my sacral, which is my gut. And whenever I haven't listened to my gut, I have suffered. Whenever I have become very successful. So that might have been in my personal life or my professional life, or even when it comes to like sales, when I've listened to my gut, I've managed to make sales. But you know, it's really hard when you are trained to listen to your mind. Are you familiar with, I know Natalia and Angela are you familiar with human design, Zahira?
I'm not, I'm afraid, no. I might have come
Okay.
across it in a different form, but not necessarily in as a human designer in terms of it. So the concept I might be feeling familiar with it from another modality, maybe.
Okay, so I offer human design readings with a combination of Sufi tarot cards, and it's how much I can't even remember. Is it 117 or 118 pounds, and you get, you know, you get so much information because you know, you have to share your time of birth, place of birth, and date of birth. I know that I need those three things. Otherwise, I can't give you the human design. So if you know your place of birth, time of birth, and date of birth, I'm able to, because I've got a whole app. And then I break it down for you. Lots of people offer human design and they just share the text with you, but they don't break it down. But I kind of break it down with you in a Zoom call. And it actually, back in 2022, a friend of mine gave me my human design, and he then broke it down for me. And I was like, oh, came across this before, but I quite don't understand it. And then he was able to tell me what it was, because I couldn't, it just went over my head. It's 12 o'clock. I want to value people's time. And just, I've learned so much from all of you. I'm going to like end the recording. Thank you all for coming, and I will be back next Friday at this time. I'm going to end the recording now. Let me see. Stop the recording.